In today's video, we are going to be discussing Johnny Gargano, a new AEW signing, and a return for a wrestling promotion in the UK. Going to be very interesting to see what happens there. As always, I'm going to keep bringing you guys the updates along the way, 7 days a week. If you guys want more videos like this, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that bell. This way you can get notified. And then, as always, if you guys want to weigh in on the conversation, drop a comment or maybe even consider joining the Discord server. Hundreds of members talking about pro wrestling, sports, health and fitness, all of these great topics every single day. Check it out. The link is in the description. One Pro Wrestling is returning, and I'm actually really shocked about this. So for those who aren't aware, One Pro Wrestling is a wrestling promotion that belonged in the UK. I want to say maybe it closed down in like 2012, 2013. The only reason why I know of One Pro Wrestling is because Noam Dar. I think that was the first time I ever got exposed to Noam Dar. But nonetheless, One Pro Wrestling is based out of England, and it is back. And they're going to have an event taking place this year on October 1st. There is going to be a really interesting lineup here because it is being named A New Twist of Fate. And then, of course, Rob Van Dam, Ruby Soho, and Mickie James are set to headline this event. This will be on Fight TV, and quite honestly, I have no idea how this is even going to happen. The tickets are going to be on sale now, actually. There's going to be meet and greets and all this different stuff. And One Pro Wrestling is partnering on Fight TV. So the real question here is, what is it going to look like in 2022? This is a promotion that existed, man, I want to say it goes far back as like 2004, 2005. Along the way, there's been a lot of like financial troubles and stuff, and things didn't necessarily work out. But, you know, I look at WWE, NXT UK, and I see what they've done with Progress. And, you know, it's hard to forget about Defiant Wrestling, aka What Culture Pro Wrestling. And, you know, there's been a lot of promotions to come out of the UK, and you know, I'm very intrigued to see what it looks like in 2022. Is the production value going to be there? Is it going to be great matches? What is their plan? Are they going to be developing talent? Are they going to be just putting indie wrestlers on the show? You know, that's the real interesting thing I want to find out. But again, I think this is a great time for the wrestling industry. I think, you know, especially when you look at the UK, I'm not too sure what the COVID guidelines are, but I would assume that the COVID guidelines are starting to end in the United Kingdom. So with that being said, I'm curious to see how this transpires. Is this going to be successful? Is this going to be a failure? Maybe if you're from the UK, you can enlighten me. But anytime there's more promotions being brought up, I do think it's a good thing, and I look forward to seeing what happens. All right, guys, with that being said, I do want to move over to our next topic. I want to talk about Johnny Gargano. You guys know I have been following very closely to everything about Johnny Gargano, and just mostly because of the fact that I am super intrigued to see what Johnny Gargano decides to do. Now, there's been rumors of him going to AEW. There's been rumors of him going back to WWE. There's rumors of Impact, and these rumors will always be rumors until pen hits the paper. But with that being said, I have actually been following this super closely, and I've speculated in the past that there is a good chance Johnny Gargano could be headed back to WWE. Now, in an interview with What Culture at WrestleCon, honestly, I think it's possible. So basically, Johnny Gargano goes on to talk about WWE, his ultimate goal of being there, and basically just what he's been able to accomplish in NXT and some of the things that he's felt, you know, after his time in WWE. One thing that was really interesting to me is that Johnny Gargano said something that I feel like it struck a chord, and he said, "I just want a new mountain to climb. The time period worked out to where I could take a little bit of a break, reset, and reassess things, figure out what I want out of this thing. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that there is a little part of me that says, you can wrestle at WrestleMania one day." Now, this is due to the fact that Johnny Gargano has been very open about retiring at around the age of 40. Keep in mind, that gives him about like 4 or 5 years, I believe. And if you take that into consideration, you know, Johnny Gargano wants to have these great matches. He's been outspoken. He wants to work with guys from GCW and AEW. He's talked about this publicly. But when you grow up as a wrestling fan, and I just think this is the ultimate truth, man. When you grow up a wrestling fan and you are a wrestler, not every wrestler, but most wrestlers tend to have the dream of wrestling at WrestleMania. And that was before AEW existed and even after AEW came into creation. I think a lot of people look at WrestleMania as the top of the mountain. And, you know, I wouldn't BS you guys if I genuinely didn't feel this way. Obviously, I can't tell you what Johnny Gargano is going to do. But what I can tell you is for a lot of people who believe Johnny Gargano cannot succeed in WWE's main roster. I don't believe that. I think Johnny Gargano has done such a great job going to WWE, NXT, and adapting to what WWE looks for out of their wrestlers. I think he can fit with WWE. I'm not saying Johnny Gargano is going to be a world champion. I'm not saying Johnny Gargano is going to be at the top of the card, but what I'm saying is that they can definitely 1,000 million trillion % put Johnny Gargano at WrestleMania, and he will 100% get a reaction from the fans. And I think, you know, I've speculated in the past. I said maybe you put Ciampa and Johnny Gargano together. You know, maybe you do DIY. I don't know. They've obviously gotten a very close bond after they spent time together in NXT. You know, if Johnny Gargano really wants to go solo, I think WWE could put him in there, you know, put him with the mid-card, the championship belts, the US, the IC title, whatever it may be. And then if you really want to give him a singles match, dude, Ciampa and Gargano would be like the ultimate singles match for Gargano at WrestleMania. So you either team them up or maybe split them apart completely. I do think it's inevitable at some point, Johnny Gargano being at WrestleMania. It just has to happen. And it sounds like it's one of those things that he absolutely wants to. So you never know if he's going to show up again. But I do believe, if I had to speculate, if I had to guess, I think it's a better opportunity for Johnny Gargano to go to WWE. Now, don't get me wrong. As a wrestling fan, Johnny Gargano going to AEW is fun. But there's just so much happening in AEW, just as there is with WWE. I just don't want Johnny Gargano to get lost in the shuffle at AEW. I think at least in WWE, maybe I have too much faith in Vince McMahon and the people there running the show, but I feel like they would do well with Johnny Gargano. But I also have to have the expectations that maybe Johnny Gargano is not the guy beating Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? You got to be somewhat fair. With that being said, guys, I do want to turn our attention to a new AEW signing. This is really strange, and it's a strange strategy from AEW, and I'm not necessarily complaining about it, but I am very curious. Now, as you guys know, Toa Liona has joined AEW in the past in terms of the AEW Dark and the Elevation shows, right? Now, we know Toa Liona and Khan are part of Tully Blanchard's enterprise, or whatever they're really calling it, right? TBE. Now, with that being said, speaking to Coffin Radio, basically what actually ended up happening was Toa Liona talked to them and told them, hey, it's official. I am with AEW. I have signed with them. I'm part of the ROH roster, but I'm contracted, so you never know when I might pop up on TBS or TNT. Watch Dynamite or Rampage. Now, I don't know. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm really confused by this because technically they're two separate companies, but he signed with AEW. I just wish we had a better understanding of what the difference is between the two companies. I think Toa Liona, you know, the Gates of Agony is going to be a great tag team. I like the idea. I love the pairing. I'm glad that AEW decided to sign these guys and bring them in. But I do find it interesting that he's technically signed to AEW, but more than likely he'll be working for ROH. Meanwhile, Tony Khan never posted any sort of, hey, they're all elite, right? Samoa Joe got it, but these guys didn't. Is it because these guys aren't on the same level of Joe? I don't know where that comes from. I guess I'm just having a hard time understanding. Clarification would be cool, I guess. But nonetheless, it's a good signing. It's good stuff. I'm excited to see what they do. I think Toa Liona and Khan are probably going to be a very, very dominant tag team, and I think that's exactly what AEW needed. Whether it's on ROH or AEW, we'll find out. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.